Before entering the story, please subscribe to the channel, like and share to help me. Thank you. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. They think silence means surrender, that if you're not loud, you must be passive. If you don't bark back, you must be scared. But real strength doesn't need to shout. It calculates, it observes, it waits. In a world addicted to noise, people overshare, overreact, and overcompensate. Silence becomes rare. And whatever's rare becomes powerful. While others chase attention, the disciplined man chooses intention. Silence isn't about holding your tongue because you're unsure. It's holding your tongue because you've already decided. You don't owe anyone a reaction. You don't need to prove your point. You don't need validation to know who you are. When you're quiet, you're dangerous, because no one knows what you're thinking. No one knows what you're planning. And that makes them uneasy. Let them underestimate you. Let them talk. Let them rant. Let them reveal their cards. You sit. You watch. You learn. That's strategy. There's a difference between reacting and responding. The reactive man talks fast, moves fast, falls fast. The strategic man listens longer, then strikes once. With precision, silence also exposes the loud, the insecure, the impulsive, the ones who can't stand still with themselves. The moment you stop talking, people reveal themselves. Who needs to dominate the room? Who's desperate to be right? Who folds under pressure? Because silence is pressure. In negotiation, the quiet man controls the table. In conflict, the quiet man holds the upper hand. Why? Because he doesn't fear the tension. He creates it. And tension, when used correctly, breaks people or exposes them. Either way, you win. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear about your purpose, your presence, your energy. Not every fight needs your fists. Not every opinion needs your voice. Not every challenge deserves your response. Most of the time, silence is the response. And those who get it, they feel it. They see it in your eyes. That calm, that focus, that control. Not the control over others, but the control over yourself. And that is the most intimidating kind of power. Because a man who can stay quiet when he could speak, when he could dominate, when he could tear someone apart with words, but he chooses not to, that man is not weak. That man is not unsure. That man is calculating, disciplined, strategic, waiting for the right moment. And when that moment comes, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't hesitate. He moves with purpose. No wasted words, no wasted energy. One move, one action, one message, and it speaks louder than all the noise combined. The world doesn't teach this anymore. It teaches you to be loud, to post, to shout, to make your voice heard. But the real ones, the ones who lead movements, shift cultures, win wars, they don't speak just to be heard. They speak to be remembered. And sometimes, not speaking at all says everything. Silence is the edge you build in private. While others broadcast their every thought, you sharpen yours in solitude. While they chase applause, you study patterns. You collect information. You calculate angles. You let others reveal themselves, so you never have to. That's how silence becomes your leverage. It keeps people guessing. It makes them question what you know, what you're planning, what you're capable of. It creates space. And in that space, you own the frame. And once you control the frame, you control the outcome. Don't confuse silence with inaction. Silence is action. It's just invisible. The mental game, the emotional control, the self-respect, all of it happens in silence. That's where your confidence is built. That's where your clarity is forged. Silence isn't avoiding the fight. It's choosing which fights matter. It's walking away from the petty so you can focus on the powerful. Let others burn out chasing relevance. You stay patient, you stay sharp, you stay grounded. Because eventually, the noise eats itself. The loud become predictable. The chaotic become sloppy. And when the dust settles, the one who didn't speak is the one they all look to. Because that silence, it wasn't emptiness. It was presence. It was restraint. It was strength under control. And when you finally choose to speak, the whole room listens. Not because you demanded their attention, but because your silence earned their respect. Every word becomes weight. Every sentence hits with impact. No fluff, no filler, just truth. That's the kind of voice that shakes people. Not the loudest one in the room, but the one that carries depth. The one that speaks after thinking. The one that speaks only when it matters. There's a reason lions don't roar all day. They don't need to. Their presence is the message. And when they do make noise, it changes everything. Learn to hold back. Learn to listen longer. Master the art of stillness in chaos. Because while everyone's reacting, you're reading the field. You're staying ahead. You're conserving your energy for the real war. Not the petty stuff. This is what separates amateurs from tacticians. Anyone can shout. Anyone can argue. Anyone can flex when emotions run high. But it takes a man of substance to stay calm when ego begs to be unleashed. Silence trains you to kill the ego, to stay in control, to walk away not because you're weak, but because you're focused. Because you know your value doesn't come from proving a point. It comes from owning your path. And when you're dialed in on that path, you stop wasting energy explaining yourself. You stop chasing closure, reactions, or revenge. You start moving with intention, not emotion. That's when you become dangerous. Not loud, not wild, but dangerous in your discipline, dangerous in your clarity. Because you know something most don't. Silence isn't the absence of power, it's the foundation of it. And when you build from that foundation, you become unshakable. Storms come, people talk, situations spiral. But you don't, because your mind isn't reactive. It's trained, and your silence. That's not retreat. It's positioning. Let them misread you. Let them think you're passive, unsure, disconnected, because while they're distracted by appearances, you're stacking moves in the background, studying the map, preparing the strike. It's the man who says nothing that people watch the closest. Not because he's mysterious, but because he's intentional. And intention, paired with silence, is lethal. The truth is, most people expose themselves through their noise. They leak their fears, their need for control, their desperation for validation. But when you move in silence, you move with purpose. And purpose doesn't beg, it builds. Silence keeps your emotions in check, keeps your power intact. And most importantly, it keeps your enemies guessing. They don't know what motivates you. They don't know what bothers you. They don't even know if they're on your radar. And that's the beauty of it. Because when you're silent, you're in control of the narrative. You don't chase influence, you become it. Not through noise, but through presence. Understand this. A disciplined man doesn't need to dominate every conversation. He doesn't need to win every argument. He doesn't need the last word. He lets the silence speak for him. Because silence reveals what words try to cover up. It reveals power, conviction, and a level of inner strength most people will never touch. So the next time you're tempted to speak just to prove something, pause. Ask yourself, is this noise or is this strategy? Because the man who chooses silence is already 3 steps ahead. And that's the difference between reacting and ruling. Rulers don't announce every move. They don't beg to be understood. They move in shadows, build in silence, and strike when the time is theirs. Not when the world demands it. That silence becomes your filter. It separates impulse from intention. It reveals the real from the fake, who respects your boundaries and who only hears you when you're loud. The weak crumble under silence because they can't sit with themselves. They need the noise to distract them from their own chaos. But the man who's found his center, he thrives in the stillness because he's met his demons. He's made peace with the quiet. He doesn't run from it. He uses it. That's the power. They don't teach you. They'll teach you how to speak, how to debate, how to win arguments, but they won't teach you how to withhold, how to listen deeper, how to create pressure without saying a word, how to dominate without being seen. Because that level of control, it can't be faked. It's not built in crowds. It's built alone. In the dark, in the quiet, when no one's watching and no one's clapping. And once you master that silence, you walk different. You command differently. You don't chase power, you embody it. Because the man who speaks only when he chooses to, the man who waits, not out of fear, but out of wisdom, that man is untouchable. He's not silent because he has nothing to say. He's silent because he knows what's worth saying and what's just noise. And when he finally speaks, it's not just words, it's a decision, it's a shift in the room. It cuts through the noise like a blade because it's not layered in insecurity, ego, or desperation. It's precise, it's earned, it lands. This is the difference between boys and men. Boys speak to be seen, men speak to be heard. And a real man, he doesn't need to speak to assert himself. His energy already has. His silence is loud enough. People don't forget the man who doesn't need attention. They remember him. Because he's the one who doesn't flinch, the one who can hold eye contact without saying a word, the one who can walk into chaos and bring calm. Not by force, but by presence. That kind of presence doesn't come from talking about who you are. It comes from becoming it, day by day, in the background, without applause, without noise, and that's what silence gives you. The space to build without distraction, to grow without explanation, to sharpen yourself without performance. You don't need to defend yourself to people who don't understand you. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Let them think what they want. Their assumptions are their limits, not yours. Let your silence work like gravity, pulling everything toward it, commanding attention, without begging for it. Let others break themselves trying to be seen. You stay patient, you stay prepared, you stay quiet, until it's time not to be. Because when that time comes, when the silence breaks, everything changes. The ones who doubted you, they'll realize you were never asleep. You were calculating. You were building. You were becoming something they couldn't see because they were too distracted by their own noise. This is what silence really is. Delayed dominance. It's the art of holding back, not out of fear, but out of power. The power to wait. to observe, to strike when the moment is perfect, not when your emotions beg for release. And in that moment, you won't need to say much, because your actions will do what your silence promised. The moves you make, they'll carry the weight of 1,000 words left unsaid. Silence teaches you that not everything deserves your energy. Not every insult needs a rebuttal. Not every slight needs to be addressed. You're not here to win arguments. You're here to win control over yourself, over your mission, over your direction. And control starts within, in the silence, in the choices no one sees, in the battles you fight behind your eyes. That's where the real game is played. Not out there in the noise, but in here, in the stillness, where discipline is born, where clarity is forged, where power is earned. So stay quiet, stay watching, stay ready. Let them underestimate the silent man. They always do. Right up until the moment he moves, and by then, it's already too late. Because by the time you move, it's not noise anymore, it's consequence. That's the beauty of silence. It builds tension, it creates space. And inside that space, people reveal who they really are. They show their fears, their flaws, their desperation to fill the void. But you remain still, unaffected, focused. Every second you stay silent, you gain ground. You stay in control. You become more dangerous. Not because you're unpredictable, but because you're disciplined enough not to show your hand. Silence protects your vision, because real goals don't need to be broadcast. They need to be executed. You don't speak dreams into existence. You build them brick by brick, in private, with precision. Let others chase the spotlight. Let them talk about what they're going to do. You let your results walk into the room before you do. That's how you separate yourself. Not through performance, but through proof. And the most powerful proof is the one no one saw coming. The quiet rise. The silent build. The unexpected takeover. That's the edge you create when you master your silence. Not as a mask, but as a weapon. A weapon sharpened through patience, tempered through control, and unleashed with purpose. So, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, keep your mission close, and your emotions closer. Because when the silence breaks, when you decide to speak, to act, to move, the world won't just hear you. They'll feel it. And that feeling, it lingers, it rattles, because it came from a man who didn't need attention to validate his strength. It came from a man who waited, watched, and executed when everything was aligned. No panic, no rush, no wasted energy. Just clarity and precision. This is the discipline few will ever understand, because most people are addicted to reaction. They hear something, they respond. They feel something, they speak. They move too fast and give away their position every time. But you're different. You've chosen the higher ground, where silence isn't weakness. It's preparation. It's elevation. It's a rejection of the world's need for noise, and a commitment to your own path. Silence teaches patience, and patience gives you timing. And timing is everything. When you move too soon, you fight battles that don't matter. You drain energy on people who don't matter. But when you wait, when you listen, when you stay composed long enough to understand the full picture, you gain the one thing no enemy can steal from you. Leverage. Silence is leverage. It keeps people guessing. It keeps you grounded. And it ensures that when you do make your move, when you do speak, the impact echoes far louder than any noise ever could. So let them keep talking. Let them assume, doubt, and run their mouths. Your silence is not approval. It's not surrender. It's the calm before the storm. And when that storm comes, it won't be loud, it'll be precise, it'll be calculated, it'll be over before they even realize it started. That's the power of a man who doesn't flinch. A man who doesn't fight every battle, only the ones that matter. And when he chooses to fight, he doesn't just win, he ends it. Because silence builds something the loud can't touch. Inner gravity, a force that pulls everything toward it without ever reaching. People sense it when you walk in the room. They feel it in your posture, in your stillness, in your lack of need. You don't seek approval. You carry your own. And the truth is, the longer you stay silent, the more powerful your voice becomes. It's the contrast, the restraint, the discipline. You haven't been quiet because you're unsure. You've been quiet because you've been becoming, while others waste their time arguing, performing, proving. You've been building muscle they'll never see. Mental muscle, emotional muscle, strategic muscle. The kind of strength that doesn't scream. It stands. And when the time comes to move, not to react, not to show off, but to execute, you won't announce it. You'll just do it clean, sharp, unapologetic. Because silence was never the absence of power. It was the power, the sharpened edge, the coiled spring, the loaded chamber waiting for the perfect moment. And now, the trigger's in your hand. Now it's no longer about if you'll act. It's about when. And that when belongs to you. No pressure, no permission. Just a quiet, decisive shift from stillness to dominance. This is what separates men who move with purpose from those who move for attention. You don't flail, you don't broadcast. You strike when the angle is right, when the noise has died down, and when they least expect it. And by then, they'll realize something too late. The silence they mistook for weakness was a loaded weapon they never saw coming. That's the difference between loud energy and deep power. One fades fast, the other leaves a mark. Because real power doesn't need to remind people who it is. It just is, silent, grounded, unshakable. You want to be feared for your unpredictability, respected for your calm, followed for your clarity? Then master your silence, master your restraint, master your timing. Because when you do, you won't need to raise your voice, show your teeth, or flex your wins. You'll just move. One clean motion, one cold decision, and the world will feel it. Not because you made noise, but because you made impact. That's what silence trains you for. Impact over impulse. It sharpens the difference between making noise and making history. Because when you're silent, you're not disconnected. You're locked in, laser focused on what matters. Every breath, intentional. Every step calculated. Let them misread you. Let them say you're distant, emotionless, too quiet. It's better to be misunderstood than to be wasted on people who don't get it. You don't need to explain your discipline. You don't need to justify your stillness. You're not in this for their comfort. You're in this for command. Silence is the domain of kings, of warriors who've bled enough to know that talking doesn't win wars. Tactics do, and tactics require patience, focused detachment. You don't silence the world by outshouting it. You silence it by outlasting it, by showing up with a presence so steady, so composed, that noise becomes irrelevant. And the truth is, most men never master this. They give in to every spark, every jab, every temptation to prove something. But the man who's built in silence, he doesn't flinch, because he knows his value isn't proven in the moment. It's revealed over time. So stay the course. Stay in the shadows if you must. Observe, prepare, and when it's time to speak, when it's time to move, you won't need volume. You'll have velocity, and velocity changes everything. Because when you move with velocity, you don't just shift the room, you shift reality. Suddenly, everything they thought about you collapses. All the assumptions, the doubts, the underestimations, gone in an instant, replaced by one undeniable truth. You were never behind. You were just building momentum. That's what silence does. It collects power quietly. It stores energy without waste. And when it's finally unleashed, it's not messy, it's not emotional, it's surgical, clean, precise, devastating. You don't need recognition when your results speak for you. You don't need applause when you're already at peace with who you are. Because silence taught you something louder than words ever could. Your life is your message. Your discipline is your answer. Your consistency is your defense. So let them talk. Let them guess. Let them feel comfortable thinking you're not a threat. That's part of the strategy. Because by the time they realize the truth, you've already outpaced them, outgrown them, outplayed them, and the most satisfying part, you didn't need to say a word, you didn't argue, you didn't explain, you just executed. That's how legends move. Not through noise, through quiet dominance. And once you understand that, you stop chasing the moment. You become the moment. And when you become the moment, you no longer wait for opportunities. You create them, silently, deliberately, without the need for validation, approval, or applause. Every step you take becomes a statement, not because it's loud, but because it's undeniable. You move like a man who's already won the inner war. The war with distraction, the war with ego, the war with insecurity. That's what silence gives you. Mastery over self. And once you master yourself, no one can master you. They'll throw noise at you to shake you. They'll provoke you to drag you down. But you won't bite, because you understand. Reaction is their weapon, but restraint is yours. You are not in this to win arguments. You're in this to win ground. Mental, emotional, strategic. You'd rather lose the moment and win the war. And that kind of thinking, that level of delay gratification, that unshakable calm under fire, that's rare. That's the mark of a man who's dangerous in silence. Not because he's hiding, but because he's building something too solid, too real, to be shaken by noise. So let them keep searching for attention. Let them exhaust themselves with endless noise. Because while they chase visibility, you chase victory, and you know exactly how to get it. You get it by staying grounded when others get rattled. You get it by choosing focus over frenzy. You get it by building quietly, relentlessly, until the results are too massive to ignore. That's what makes the silent man unstoppable. He doesn't depend on hype. He doesn't fold under pressure. He doesn't speak just to fill space. Every word, every move, every moment. Because silence isn't just absence. It's preparation. And the man who prepares in silence will always outperform the one who performs without preparation. You see, when your foundation is built in quiet, in sweat, in solitude, in long nights with no recognition, you become something the world can't break. Because the world didn't build you. You built yourself in silence. So when the spotlight comes, you're not shaken. You've already done the work. You've already endured the silence, the doubt, the delay, the discipline. And that's what makes your rise so undeniable. Not because it was loud, not because it was flashy, but because it was earned. Earned in the hours no one clapped for. Earned in the battles no one saw. Earned in the stillness where most men break. But you got sharper, stronger, colder, clearer. Now you're not moved by trends. You're not shaken by noise. You're not desperate to be seen. Because you know, when you're truly built, you don't need to be seen. You make yourself felt, and being felt, that's the highest form of presence. It lingers longer than applause. It speaks louder than words. It commands without trying. That's what separates the disciplined from the desperate. One moves in silence and leaves a mark. The other screams for attention and fades with the echo. You weren't built to fade. You were built to last. And lasting power doesn't come from noise. It comes from control, from staying composed when others unravel, from making moves without announcing them, from becoming a storm. In stillness, every day you stay silent, you're collecting strength. Every moment you hold back, you're sharpening your edge. And when the time comes to act, you don't stumble. You strike, not emotionally, not impulsively, but surgically, intentionally, with the kind of force that says, I've been ready. And that readiness, it didn't happen overnight. It came from doing what most won't. Sitting in the silence, enduring the boredom, training through the doubt, letting your hunger speak louder than your voice. Because you don't have anything to prove. You have something to build, and real builders know. It's the quiet work that lasts. It's the silent chapters that shape the loudest victories. That's why you don't rush. You don't chase the hype. You don't follow the noise. You build slowly, you build deeply. You build right. Because you're not here for a quick win. You're here to own the game. The man who understands silence doesn't crave attention. He commands attention. Through posture, through present, through a calm that shakes the insecure. Because silence exposes everyone else's need and proves that you have none. No need to be seen, no need to be liked, no need to be right. Just the need to execute, to evolve, to dominate on your terms. That's why you hold the line. Even when others fold under pressure. Even when your work goes unnoticed. Even when you're doubted, dismissed, or disrespected. Because deep down, you know the silence you're sitting in now is the foundation of the storm you're about to unleash. And when that storm comes, when your preparation collides with opportunity, it won't be subtle, it won't be small. It'll be the kind of move that makes everyone ask, where did he come from? But you'll know the truth. He never came out of nowhere. You were just silent, strategic, and dangerous the whole damn time.